Hello, hi everyone. We are back. We are back, baby. We are so fucking back. It's been a while. I know it has been far too long. Welcome back to the show to fix it or feel it. I am your host, Brian Clark. I am a life coach, a certified personal trainer, a nutrition coach, and an all-around mental health bro. And I am here to talk a little bit about where I've been, what I've been doing, the things that kept me from posting as often as I would have liked, which wasn't at all. So before we get into it, I just want to say, if it's your first time, welcome. You can go back and listen to the few episodes that I started with if you want to get to know me a little bit more. Go ahead and give me a follow, give me a like, subscribe wherever you listen. I promise that this will be a weekly thing starting from now. Or, I'm not going to make any promises I can't keep. I'm going to post every week as much as I can. Most of the time, it will be every week. Sometimes it won't. And we're going to deal with that together. Go ahead, like, subscribe, follow, comment, please. Share. All of that stuff is super helpful. And let's get right into the show. All right, everybody. Where have I been? Truthfully, I have been mainly here, not in this office, but in my home. I hit a little bit of a period of overwhelm, trying to do a little bit too much, maybe. I am not making excuses. These are explanations for my absence. If you don't know, I'm not just a life coach, but I am a tennis coach, and I live in South Florida, and the summer is a really, really tough time, not just because it's the hottest time of the year, but because my hours actually almost double from my normal ones. So the combination of some really, really hot days with some extra hours just were really hard on me. And I had a really difficult time finding the energy to do a lot of extra things, such as this. The summer also kind of coincided with a bit of a depression. Not a super intense one, but definitely a long-lasting and sticky one. And it took me some time to really figure out what was bumming me out so much, why I had been kind of in that funk for such a long time. And so let's get into some of the things that I figured out. I feel like I learned some lessons, and this is why we're doing this. So the things that I learn, I can come on to here and pass the savings on to you. So when I realized that I was really in the depths of my depression, I went into survival mode or maintenance mode. I know that my depression can really take the form of isolation and avoidance and kind of just like throwing everything to the wayside. And I needed to prioritize a few things. I wanted to make sure that I was showing up for work. I wanted to make sure that I was eating right because I am an emotional eater. And when I really get down, I throw my entire diet out the window, and those emotional binge eating sessions really torpedo my physical and mental health. So I made sure that I stayed consistent with my diet, with my workouts, and showing up for work. So aside from whatever feelings I have about dropping the ball with the podcast and with my social media presence, I am giving myself my flowers for not falling into that deep, dark pit where I just do nothing. I didn't stay in bed for days or weeks at a time. I didn't eat my feelings, and I made sure that I stuck to my routines and kept myself afloat. Where the rubber kind of met the road with that depression and this podcast is that this form of the depression that I get is kind of this feeling where my personality feels very far away. Like the dials of my emotions are all out of whack. The dial for my ability to access joy is kind of like cranked all the way down. And the one for hypersensitivity and sadness is cranked all the way up. In a therapy session, I kind of compared it to like my joy was stuck in between the driver's seat and the console of my car. Like you can like reach your fingers down there and like sometimes you feel real close to getting it. You can like kind of get your fingertips on it and you can even wrap your hand around it and start to move it. But like pulling it out from in there is really, really hard. And that's the feeling that I had for kind of months and months. And like I said, my personality felt far away. Like the things that I actually really do like about my personality, being fun and silly and weird and talkative and talking about things like this, all that stuff felt really, really hard to get motivated to do or to even feel like capable of doing, which is why it was really difficult for me to push past some of that overwhelm and some of that stress and just sit down and do it. Because even if I could find the energy, I couldn't find my own thoughts. So I'll go ahead and say I'm sorry for not being here. It was actually very nice. A few people, a few of my faithful listeners and watchers did reach out to me and tell me how much they missed this. And I missed y'all too. I apologize for being gone. I'm glad I'm back. One of the things that did start to pull me out of that depression was actually sharing it. I started a thing on TikTok where I just said, you know what? I'm going to post every single day talking about exactly how I'm feeling until I don't feel depressed anymore. It was kind of a two-part thing. I talk about a lot of this stuff because I want to share how I've defeated these difficult things in the past, how I've overcome them and worked through them and all these tools that I've gathered. But a big philosophy of my coaching is that I am a fellow citizen of this earth who often struggles with the same things that my clients do. And I thought it would be helpful to show what it looks like in real time to actually go through it. Maybe I should have done it here, but I didn't. So I posted every day for 5 days, just talking about exactly how I was feeling. And I did get a lot of people, reaching out saying me too, which is always nice. And just better out than in. Getting that stuff out and having some videos of me saying the things, instead of just listening to podcasts and experts and other people talking about depression. It was me talking to me saying that it's okay to feel what I was feeling. And that was a big part of it, that I needed to know that it was okay. I needed to surrender to it. It is this lesson that I keep having to relearn over and over and over again, where I just need to surrender. Like, we as people are a part of nature and the universe. And in nature and in the universe, there are constant periods of ebbs and flows. If you look at the waves and the tides, or you look at our bodies biologically, our lungs expand and contract. Our heart expands and contracts. The universe itself is constantly expanding and contracting. And it is totally normal and natural to have periods of time where emotionally we expand and contract, where we have seasons. I came to terms finally after months and months of just like struggling and pushing against it and fighting it and asking why. I finally just realized I might have just been in a period of contraction where I was figuring things out. I wasn't feeling super social. I wasn't feeling super happy or bright or energetic. And that doesn't mean always that something's wrong. It just means it's a season. It's a period of contraction. And knowing and believing and trusting that after every period of contraction, there will be an expansion. You will come out of it. There will be a spring. You will be lighter. You will feel more open and not so closed off. And you might get more social. And you might get more curious and open and kind of free, And again, I know all this. I've talked about it before, but for some reason, when you're going through it, it's like when you're so close to it, it's so hard to see. I actually heard on a podcast, which means it's 100% true, so don't fact check me, that the Arabic word for human is basically the same word as forgetful. We are constantly forgetting things and relearning them, and it is just, that is our cross to bear. So back to that trust, I think, is a word that I kind of just stumbled upon, even though I kind of had already had my breakthrough, but trusting that whatever you're feeling is temporary. Why? Does every emotion that I have feel like this is going to be forever? Whatever I'm feeling at the time, my brain just immediately decides this is how I will be forever. And we and me, we, everybody, all of us, the royal, we have to start trusting ourselves that we can handle those periods of contraction, those darker times, those winters, and trusting that the spring will be coming, the expansion will be coming, and not getting so tangled up and trying to figure out why. What is wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? There's a Sylvia Plath poem that I'm not even going to try to directly quote, so I will paraphrase it. It is something to the tune of, if you dissect the songbird to figure out what makes it sing, you won't be able to hear the song anymore. And I am so very, very guilty of dissecting the shit out of that bird. When I was in Bali a couple years ago, I was actually even trying to get a tattoo artist to design me like a bird that had like an open heart surgery scar that was like stitched back up. to kind of remind me of that exact thing. You know, if anybody out there is an artist or a drawer or a graphic designer and you want to take a stab at mocking something up for me, I still kind of want to get that tattoo and would love to see what y'all got. So yeah, I think that trying to dissect that bird just kept me in that depression for way longer than was necessary. And the fucked up thing is that once I surrendered and once I started feeling better, I actually stumbled upon the understanding of why I had been feeling in such a rut for so long. It's that finger trap thing, you know, like the harder you try and pull your fingers, I'm sure I've mentioned this before, I talk about it all the time, but the harder you try and pull your fingers out of that trap, the more it squeezes tight. And once you soften and surrender, they'll slide right out. And the answer revealed itself to me. So the next kind of part to this equation is that I came to the conclusion that I was grieving, experiencing a lot of grief because I was experiencing some very deep losses. Nobody died, but I was experiencing the loss of some things that were good to lose, some things that were actually growth in disguise, but they're still losses and they still hurt. And the biggest thing that I lost was this version of myself that felt really, really content and happy just a few years ago. Because of my past, I have a background of some very messy living, we will say. I lived in turmoil constantly. Nothing was stable. I was an agent of chaos, but that chaos only circled around myself mostly. I never had anything that was stable or safe or restful. I never fully felt restful because I was always anxious or stressed or hungover or depressed. The times that I was quote unquote happy were very fleeting and were usually fueled by alcohol or drugs. So once I really started working on myself and I quit drinking and I started getting healthy and I bought a house and my job felt really stable and I felt comfortable in it and I felt good at it and I started to get more financially stable, I reached this period of time where all I wanted was that stability. It was the only thing that I wanted for myself. That was the next step from living in so much chaos was, how do I get stable? How do I get to a point where I can just sit and relax? And I got to that point and I really can say that I liked and loved my life for the first time in maybe ever. And the thing that I've developed in the last year and a half is a healthy amount of ambition. This is a part of it. I'm trying to start this whole coaching business. I'm trying to move out of this country and build something new for myself, branch out and strive for more, which is a great thing to do. But it does mean leaving a lot of that stability and that comfort behind me. I'm grieving the loss of this version of myself that was good where they were. And I was good where I was for that time. Right now, it is time for me to think about my future. And the future me has some ideas about what he wants. And that just means that the current me is going to have to buckle up and survive some bumpy roads. I think we could probably make a drinking game over the times I talk about how I am not good at being uncomfortable. And this has just been long-standing discomfort. The discomfort of working a little extra hard, using free time that I would normally take to rest my body or rest my mind or just watch Netflix or whatever and do things like this or make content or try and do some networking. That is the thing that I've been trying to get myself to do lately is show up at networking events. But it might be something that is gonna be gross and gonna suck, but it's a fucking hour, Brian. Uncomfortable does not mean intolerable. And again, one of those lessons that I will have to keep learning probably forever, it seems. So that's kind of the big lesson here is that growth and progress, I didn't invent this, but it's not linear. I got to a point where I was like, oh, I grew. My growth is done. I have grown. And I have no more growing left to do. Now it'll be smooth sailing for the rest of my life. You know, I was like fucking George Bush on that aircraft carrier with a big mission accomplished sign and flags waving behind me like, we did it, y'all. Time to pack up and go home. It just so happens that there's like a lot more years of, for lack of a better term, war coming my way. But that struggle and that war and that discomfort is actually a good thing because it means that I am trying. It means that I am striving for something. And I've never really been an ambitious person. It's something that I almost used to brag about, you know, like I would make fun of those guys that are like fucking rise and grind. And I would make fun of them because it was just something that felt so foreign to me. Like, why would you try so hard? If you can pay your bills, like, why do you need to push for anything extra? And now I can honestly say that I have goals and I have ambitions, and it is unfamiliar. But again, unfamiliar is not bad. Uncomfortable is not bad. These things are signs of a changing Brian. So I think that's good for now for an update on where I was. As always, I would love to hear from anybody who is watching or listening. Put stuff in the comments. Tell me what you guys got going on, and maybe there are some topics that I haven't talked about that I can touch on in the future. And as far as a quote to leave everybody with, I really like that Sylvia Plath non-quote that I quoted. So I'll leave you guys with that, and I'll say it once again for the people in the back. If you try to dissect the songbird to figure out what makes it sing, you will not be able to hear the song anymore. I love you all very much. I promise to be more consistent, and I will see you all another time. Bye-bye.